Now that we have a sense of how to use basic corrections with the Lumetri color panel, let's take a look at the creative section. Now, you'll notice there's a lot of things you can do. You can apply looks here, you can create a faded film, there's even some color wheels you can work with. And I do use these tools, but I like to use these at the very end of my workflow. If my image is perfect and I just want to stylize it, I may use it at this point, but there are 3 sliders here that I really love, and that's the Sharpen, Vibrance, and Saturation sliders. If you look at this image, I have this great shot, but I really want the greens to pop. So if I go ahead and I use the saturation slider, and as I move it up, I want you to take a look at both the vector scope and the RGB parade. So I'm moving it to the right. My image is getting more saturated. As a matter of fact, my traces are starting to exceed the target. I'm starting to get oversaturated, and the image is actually looking really ugly. I succeeded in making the trees greener, but his skin tone and the reds just are way too vibrant. And that leads me to use the Vibrance slider. Think of this as smart saturation. What it does is it increases the more muted colors and leaves the really saturated colors alone. And it also makes sure that you don't oversaturate skin tones. So using the Vibrance slider and moving that to the right, look at what happens to both my scopes and to the image. As I increase the vibrance, my trees are getting greener, but his face is not getting more saturated, or the red in his shirt. And you'll notice that if you look at the scopes, even if I bring it all the way to 100, the traces in my vector scope never exceed the targets. Now I want to show you another shot, and again leverage vibrance versus saturation, and we're also going to bring sharpening into the equation. The next shot in the sequence is a scene from Shanghai. A lot of people walking around, and I really like this shot, but I want to bring out more colors, but I have those dangerous reds that if I just use saturation, they'll really start making my image ugly. As a matter of fact, even the yellows are getting ugly. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that, and instead of using my saturation slider, I'm going to use the vibrance slider and take a look at what happens specifically to the red elements in this scene and also to the scopes. As I move this to the right, all the other colors that were more muted are becoming more saturated, but the reds aren't getting blown out and those yellows aren't getting blown out. And everything is within broadcast spec. Now, just to show you, if I move this slider to the left, you'll notice that it's reducing the colors that are more saturated, the reds and the yellows. So you can use vibrance both ways, adding more color to the image in a smart manner or reducing it. Let me go ahead and reset this and show you how sharpening works. Now, a lot of times when I'm working with sharpening, I like to make sure that instead of using my image fitting into the window, I want to see it on a 100% pixel to pixel ratio. So I'm going to change that to 100%, and let's grab the slider and move over to where we can see the trees. As you can see, as I move the sharpen adjustment to the right, the leaves on the tree really pop. My image looks ridiculously sharp. Now, you can always overdo it. If you move it to the right, you're going to get a little bit of noise and artifacting. So with sharpening, a little bit goes a long way. You can even move the sharpening slider to the left to soften your image. This could be perhaps you're matching it to other footage that isn't as sharp as your original footage, or maybe you're doing an interview and you want to soften the lines on a person's face. So when it comes to the creative segment, I really love these 3 adjustments: saturation, vibrance, and sharpen. We'll look at the other adjustments in this panel later on in the course.